All right, so this is Claudia's presentation on my AI practice, and I named it Hacking Commercial Cultural Production Through cripTEKnoscience Performance. So my analog aesthetic roots, I had to acknowledge that I do a lot of collage art. I do a lot of repurposing from corporate advertisements as an anti-capitalist gesture. I love photocopy aesthetic, like conversations with machines, and I'm also about the mixed media. So like this is a photo of the wall when I was in, this was during the Clinton years. So I shared a house with a bunch of people right after we graduated college, and they were handing out these postcards to like you go to the club and there would just be a wall full of postcards that had cool art on them, and I liked them and I would take them and I would use them to decorate my home and my house. And so in this one says I smile cuz I look, and it says something, and it's like, so I like took it, cut it up, and like it's literally just taped on the wall. And when I moved, that got put in the garbage. Like that was no longer a thing that existed in the world. This is also a chapbook. This was made during the Bush years. I lived in New York, and that's the haiku scam. I was working at the American Foundation for the Blind as an audio engineer, and they would let me use the photocopy machine after work because they did not pay me well, and I was poor. And I needed to make a book of my poetry, and it's called The Haiku Scam because I photocopied it for free and did not claim it on my taxes. Also, almost all the artwork, some of it was original artwork from my friend, illustrations, but most of it was stuff we found and thought looked cool when you photocopied it. So that is the A-Team poem. This is the Rain poem. And again, that's like cut out from some ad that we found. We thought it looked cool when you photocopied it. This book was a book of poetry because we not only did my poetry, we published other people's stuff. So this was called Between Spaces by Kiana Brendel, and we were working with what happens when you layer paper, and like the machine was a little broken too, so it was giving me this really cool effect. And so I used the broken copy machine at the American Foundation for the Blind to do a huge run of this poetry book. And I enjoy having an aesthetic conversation with the machine. I also want to share this piece of vocabulary: supremacy culture. Supremacy culture is the overarching term I use to refer to the intersecting political ideology and systemic oppression that perpetuates and maintains the social, political, historical, and industrial white domination, ableism, heterosexism, patriarchy, capitalism, class, and gender oppression that we all be experiencing all the time. Supremacy culture works to maintain dominant distributions of power and resources, which result in the inequitable status quo of racism and injustice. And I came up with this term because I be having conversations on platforms that have a character count limit. And I couldn't be saying social, political, historical, industrial, white domination, ableism, heterosexism, it was too many characters. I just wanted to be like, yeah, that sounds like supremacy culture to me. What about supremacy culture in casting in Star Wars? Like, I needed this word. So, now I came up with hacking performance cripTEKnoscience when I was thinking about my AI work for this conversation. So I thought through ideas of cripTEKnoscience, but also tech, performance technology, terraforming prefigurations of disability justice, digital commons, and AI art hacking supremacy culture. And I made this image yesterday, and I was kind of delighted by it. I kind of enjoyed it. All right, so first, all the images in this presentation are Claudia images, except for this one. I copy pasted it from this cool website that's like feminism. It has cool like articles and stuff. And this is from the cripTEKnoscience manifesto. And we're in the cripTEKnoscience lab, so I don't feel like I got to go over what cripTEKnoscience is too hardcore, but it's disabled people as historic inventors. We critique, we alter, we reinvent systems. It's access hacks as innovation engines. It is rejecting the idea that disabled people need to be cured or fixed, and that's what we're using our innovation to do. It's embracing disability as a valuable identity in and of itself, and it's also resisting productivity and independence as survival requirements. It's centering activism and design for disability justice. And I love cripTEKnoscience as a framework. I especially like that it is I find that disability technoscience has a bunch of traps. And when I'm inside that space, I'm doing disability dongle talk. I'm talking about making a wheelchair that can climb upstairs, and it's silly and it's not practical. And my work is practical. And also, this lab is cripTEKnoscience. What we are doing is cripTEKnoscience. But the language still didn't feel like enough to me, because for me, technology is machine technology, but also there's organic technology, and then there's also social technology. So I use the word tech, which is traditional ecological knowledge. So like that is like the Three Sisters system. I don't know if you know about this. So like if you grow maize and beans and squash together, they make each other grow better. Like literally one plant gives shade to the other plant, and one plant does like nutrient stuff to the dirt to make the other plant grow good. And like that's science, baby. That's old school science. And what did supremacy culture do? Colonialists came in and said, oh, all that smart, awesome technology you have, it's primitive and bad, and we should do all this bad genocidal stuff that'll destroy the environment. So I am into tech, right? Like right now, the redwood forest is being managed using more tech ideas, right? And they are necessary. And I see like political administrations trying to get them to stop using tech. And I think we need to use tech to save all of us. I'm trying to base my digital and social model design on organic models that have positive and long-term outcomes. I spend a lot of time looking at the forest, looking at my garden, trying to figure out how to code something. But also performance is technology. I can change your body chemistry. I was diabolical back in the day. I'd have a 90-minute show and I'd be like, in a half an hour, Mark, I want everybody to reach for the tissue, but to not need it. I want to hear everybody go, at this time. I want them to go, I want them to feel like they're gonna cry and then cry hard. And then I need them to laugh and feel, and then everybody has to stand up at the same time. How do I get everybody to stand up at the same time? And this is all the same technology you do for a church event, for a political event, theater, but also like film, television, the way social media is designed. These are all using lights, sound, different inputs to the human body, also way other people are performing near and with you. Because like if we say the same words at the same time, our brainwaves sync up a little bit, right? So thinking of this as all performance technologies that are inside what I'm thinking of. And so much of my work is based in me doing live performance. I'm doing live stream performance inside, live stream and asynchronous digital performances inside these digital ecosystems, mostly because I'm stuck inside the house, I'm sick, and I'm publishing mostly on the internet. And these platforms are sites of supremacy culture and surveillance capitalism. So my posting is, posting is part of my performance and pedagogy. And I keep saying like I'm terraforming this ecosystem with disabled futures, anti-colonial critique. And then that also brings me to this idea of algorithmic genocide. So when I'm live streaming, there is an artificial intelligence engine that is moderating who can see my live stream, who gets connected to it. Same thing when I post on any of these platforms, who gets to see the post? Does the post get put on does the post get put in a place where people could see it easily? Or does somebody have to already know Claudia exists and know where Claudia lives to go to that space to see what Claudia published? And we found that when Claudia Alick in a live stream uses key terms that refer to the community that we are a part of, and the audience is dramatically, like we were doing a conversation about Doctor Who. And the last Doctor Who was a black guy. And the way they came up with this black guy is David Tennant, the old Doctor Who, a really old Doctor Who. They did something called bi-generation, where the other Doctor Who came out of his entire body. And it was the queerest moment. I was like, yes, Russell T Davies, who made Queer as Folk, of course you made this. And as I was complimenting a moment, they shut down my live stream access for 10 days. And I wrote the platform and I was like, I'm part of the queer community. My entire audience is part of the queer community. You said that I did a hate speech. Your artificial intelligence machine said I did a hate speech. I clicked the appeal button and your artificial intelligence Kafka-esque room in 30 seconds said, nope, you did a hate speech. You don't get to talk to your audience for 10 days. And when you disallow us from ususing key terms, the same thing happened when I was reading, is it Ellie Claire or Eli Claire? I don't know how to pronounce pronounce people's words because I learned from reading, everybody. But we were reading this Eli Clare essay about disability and like climbing a mountain, and it was real good. And my audience was into it. And we were thinking about ideas of trans and gender representation as well as disability justice. And in the middle of the live stream got cut off, said we did a hate speech. I was reading from the essay. I was reading Claire's words, and they wouldn't, and I was prepping for us to do an accessible virtual pride presentation where we were going to be live streaming all of our work. So the result is, if we use key terms that talk about ourselves, they suppress distribution, which means that we get silenced. And if you disappear us online, it's a lot easier to disappear us in the meat space, in the physical space, in the real world. And the term digital kettling is another term I came up with, which is you get associated with accounts that are like yours. So if I make a pro-Palestine post, there's going to be a couple hundred people who get to see it and have reactions to it. Just a couple hundred. I have 47,000 followers. That's ridiculous. I can see it in the analytics, what's happening, right? So how can I hack for justice? What are some system hacks that we can do to disrupt all of this? So now we're actually getting into my artwork. I apologize. I hope I'm managing time well. Okay, so I came up with talking about Claudia's work in 4 phases. I was already studying artificial intelligence stuff. Like, I was already obsessed with it and concerned about it. But I would say this work began when models became commercially available or available to the public. So I'm naming 2022 as a start date, even though there was a lot of ideation and thought exploration, reading books and stuff before this. So phase 1, corporatized cultural production experiments and impacts on marginalized communities. Phase 2, original aesthetics and ideas. Phase 3, case studies, labor solidarity. And then phase 4, which is the one I'm inside right now, is movement work, interrogations, transmedia explorations. Okay, so phase 1 goals were, I wanted to test AI to see how it was going to threaten creative jobs, how it was going to exacerbate all of the problems I already saw on the internet and the real world with supremacy culture. But also I was like, can it make my life easier with accessibility? And also to a certain extent, I was already using some tools for my access needs that would have been labeled AI, that you label AI now. But I was using them like my talk to text tools are all artificial intelligence labeled now, but they weren't when I first started using them. I'm examining how platforms were handling corporate IP and copyright guardrails. I was curious about, are they protecting Disney's IP? Because I already know they stole all my stuff to build this machine. And also, let me use corporate IP to experiment with before I use my own stuff to just test out how these platforms work. So I did live streams where we'd be like, make me a story that does this. And we'd say, do a story with Yoda and Loki. Yoda and Loki. And I'd be like, hey, audience, what are Yoda and Loki doing? And they're like, they're having a dinner party. They're going grocery shopping. So we did these experiments. We had these really intense, interesting conversations while they were happening. But then the ephemera, the result was all these stories and all these pictures and all this stuff. So we collected them. So if you go online, you can download the Yoda crossover fanfic collection, the Star Trek fanfic collection, and the Doctor Who fanfic collection. And they are free to download and access because it's fan fiction. There's also a bunch of videos that we did. Now, so there's the fanfic collections for Doctor Who, Yoda crossover, and Star Trek, right? And of course, we were messing with the platforms also to be like, hey, what can you do, Dolly? This was like 2022, so we were like, hey, we are like making in. I used a bunch of platforms to try to make Yodas. Yoda was very difficult to produce. Yoda's a complicated little figure. Okay, so results from phase 1. See if I'm gonna hit play and see what happened. I wanted Bill Potts of Doctor Who to be my favorite companion, but there just weren't enough episodes with her in them. It felt like the showrunners weren't holding her character with thoughtfulness, and neither was Doctor Who, frankly. It felt like they weren't thinking about her as a black woman and as a lesbian, and oftentimes her story was. All right, so I could keep playing. I have so many examples, so I'm not going to play the full examples. But like this,
everyone
fan art
must decide who.
And why do we have all these black elves? It's because the internet conversation was that there can't be black elves. Tolkien came up with this idea of a world full of elves. Then Amazon produced Rings of Power, and some black actors were in that. And an online conversation was saying, that's impossible. And so I was like, let me see if I can get all of the AI engines. I just want to experiment and see what comes out when I ask you to make a black elf. And that was the Black Elves project. All right, next. Then I was doing a bunch of stuff with Afrofuturism, but again, I'm just going to acknowledge. The Afrofuturism stuff was definitely influenced by some ideas around Marvel Universe's Wakanda, right? So
Wakanda forever, Eva, Wakanda forever, Eva, Wakanda forever, say Wakanda forever, Wakanda forever, say Wakanda forever.
all right, I'm not allowed to enjoy my art. Let's keep going. Although, real honest, like I made most of the stuff because I liked it, right? So in this section, I'm stuck in bed. Mostly I can move this arm well. I was in a gigantic flare. So this was a huge, like I was prolific in this time, and it was because I was stuck in bed and I was making stuff that I liked, that I thought was pretty. But I was also producing more critical writing, and then I did a big video game design project with Maiamama. Again, just exploring more aesthetics and ideas and creating work that's just purely Claudia likes how this looks. The music you hear is McKenna Alick, my other sister. Yeah, I'm nepotism. So my sister's a musician, so I used her music, and I made a collage. And then I took that collage that Claudia made and I fed it through an image generator, and I came up with the image I liked the most, and then I took that and I replicated it over and over again. And then I fed that through another website or another tool that lets me edit video, and added some like effects and silliness to it. But like, is that artificial intelligence, those machine tools I'm using? Who knows? But this was the result, and the outcome was just dreamy stuff. So like for a couple of months, I was just filling social media with images of black women and black people and blackness, and some. So it's like 30 seconds. It's really fast. This is designed to be accessed through TikTok, and it's inviting you to pause, because every superwoman, and I loved that, right? But then also,
Last few
When
months
day
haven't
comes,
been
we
easy.
ask
We've had to
ourselves,
deal
where
with
can
school
we find
closings,
light
a
in
global
this
pandemic that's caused so
never-ending
much pain
shame?
and loss,
The
and a
loss
long
we
overdue
carry a
reckoning with our
sea we
country's
must
history
wade.
of
We've
racism and
braved the
inequality.
belly of the beast.
So, if
We've
any of you
learned
are
that
scared
quiet
or
isn't
confused
always
or
peace,
angry or
and the
just plain
norms and
overwhelmed
notions
by
of what
all of it,
just is.
I want you to know you're not
isn't
alone.
always
I am
just
feeling it too.
is.
I think we all are.
And yet,
I've been
the
so
dawn.
that's 10 minutes. We don't have time to explore the whole thing, but it's lovely. And it has, like, I took Stacey Abrams' voice, and I took Beyonce's voice, and I took Oprah's voice, and I just took a bunch of fabulous, famous black women's voices, and I stuck them in here, and without permission, without rights. So I don't even know if I can share any of this art, really. And I was mostly kind of making it to, like, tickle my brain and make a thing, right? At this time, there was also a period of time where black women on TikTok were fighting the algorithm. They were making it so we couldn't get followers. So we started the Black Lady Follow Train.
So I've been thinking about the Black Girl Follow Train for quite some time. And for those who are not familiar, black women have come together to follow each other, build each other up, and support each other. And in case you're wondering why, well, it's because we don't have anything that has not been stolen from us.
That is Empress Onyx. And so I took Empress Onyx's voice, and I took one of the on TikTok, there's often a video that people will use and do different voiceovers on it. So there was a video of a black lady in a boat, and that was the video people were doing Black Lady Follow Trains to, which I thought was funny, because I was like, that's not a train, but okay, it's a black lady in a boat, maybe escaping slavery, I don't know. So I took that, and again, did that thing where I'm making lots of iterations, and then I'm making an animation out of those iterations, and
This one for the black world. If you're a woman and you're black, I'm following back.
so these actually did numbers. These were very popular, and this was an interesting time period where TikTok got real mad at us and literally started falsely tagging our videos as advertisements and fighting us. They did not like that Black women were using their own power to fight the algorithm. Okay, so boom. Taking us to the road trip game, this was a co-design with Maiamama. In 2023, Maiamama was actually fundamentally against artificial intelligence and was like, if you use it, you're a bad person because it's ruining everything for the artists. And it was a real labor rights centric perspective. And I was like, okay, I've been messing around with this for a year. The Calling Up Justice practice needs to have an opinion about this. Let's do a project where we're like, can AI make a video game? But also, what is the point of the video game? The point is to always lead people to a gallery of real artists so that you will support actual human being artists. And also, you can read articles about why are we bothered by this as artists, and why is it actually more important now than ever to hire and commission a real artist to make an art for you if you can't make an art for yourself? Okay, so that was the road trip game. And I'll also say I think that this isn't a boring aesthetic, but it is in some of the projects, which is we think the machine makes ugly things, and Maiamama and myself, we did not work to fix the ugliness. So like it made code that was bad. Maiamama, she designs video games and she barely fixed it. And the text is ridiculous. So if you are a designer or a coder, the game is hilarious to play because AI is silly and makes awful choices. And we did a live stream a couple of weeks ago where we were showing the video game Whispers in the Dark. So Maiamama also does a live stream every week called Gaming for Justice. And so they presented Whispers in the Dark, which is one of the most recent iterations of artificial intelligence being used in video games. And this is a labor rights issue, right? Like this is, we need to fight this, right? So we were revisiting it quite recently. So this is phase 3, 2023 to 2024. Y'all, I apologize for the length of this presentation. I think I'm going to stick the landing in 10 minutes. So I think we have 10 more minutes of Claudia talking. Thank you for your patience with me. So phase 3, 2023, I am trying out every single tool now. I'm just signing up for everything, partially because I have my own tech products that I have in the world. And I'm trying to decide, I don't think we should AI it because of my own ethical and aesthetic opinions, but everybody is AI slopping their contents and putting, I'm like, should we? And also I want to see what's possible, and I also want to see how is it going to impact my world, and also can I make it more accessible? So I'm making podcasts, I'm making slideshows, I'm making plays, I'm making poetry using artificial intelligence tools, and we also do our Accessible Innovation Project, which is AI support for disabled creators. So this is Sentient Justice, a play on racism and police brutality, and it's an every 28 hours play that I created because I was like, the experiment will be, can I make a play about this topic using artificial intelligence? So that's what that is. The play is mid. It's okay. But we did find out, we were like, you know what? I think that while the dialogue that artificial intelligence writes is bad, it's good at a formula. So like it's bad at writing you a good play, but if you wanted it to produce some like Hallmark movies, it could do that. So those were some of our opinions and outcomes of those experiments. We made slide decks. The slide decks are all trash. It's awful at it. Even Prezi, that does really dramatic choices, because the data set is racist, it makes me bad slide decks. Maybe it would make a white dude good slide decks, but the slide decks it makes for me are always kind of wrong in terms of disability representation or racial representation. We made AI Cyrano, which was, again, it was us being like, let's riff on an idea and see what happens and think about these ideas. And it was a fun conversation. We also go to Mystery AI Hype Theater 3000. Like we go to listen to that live stream. So that's like Emily Bender. And like, they're like, just like kikiing and talking and like reading articles and stuff. And then after we attend that, we will sometimes create an article that's like, yo, this idea, we were thinking about this. I did an experiment where we were testing, this was like one of the Star Trek experiments where we said, list us all the black characters in Star Trek, because we'd already determined it's good at Star Trek IP, but it was bad at race. So it was like saying, Majel Barrett is a black actor, and we were like, no, that's wrong. So the article we got out of that was AI and the reproduction of supremacy culture ideologies. So there's some layered stuff going on, right? Speculative stories for the strike. was it was a story series critiquing AI in Hollywood, and I did this during the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA strikes. So I created it during the labor strikes as my way of participating, because I was only able to make it to like one march because my body is bad at going to marches. But I did make it to one. I was outside the Paramount building, and I was protesting it up, y'all. So the outcomes of this project were 25 speculative stories with images and 21 videos. Now, I want to credit the CripTech Incubator AI Lab for the 25 speculative stories with images, because 2 weeks ago we had Cynthia Bennett here. They did a fabulous presentation, and they mentioned the WGA strike, and it reminded me that I had done this project. Y'all, I had forgotten about it because I had done it as straight AI slop for TikTok. This is what I published for people.
Am I the asshole for ruining my sister's wedding? Hey Reddit, I'm in a tough spot here and I need some perspective. My sister and I have...
So on TikTok, there are these sludge content, video loop contents. They often have Reddit voiceover sounds on top of them, and it's an artificial intelligence voice. You see them all the time. They're heavily distributed. And my question was, if I make a story that is actually about labor solidarity or human rights, but I make it with the same shitty aesthetics as this other propaganda stuff, will it get more highly distributed? This was a labor-intensive project because I was having to play the video game and then screen record myself playing the video game and then editing that down and then recording myself reading my short story, writing a short story, then recording myself reading the short story and then using an AI voice filter. But it was interesting because the AI voice filter didn't ever sound black, and this story was about black people, right? And I made and I was also riffing on the idea of "Am I the asshole?" stories. So that's why I'm using this one as the example. So Cynthia Bennett mentions the thing, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't accessible at all to a blind person. What? I mean, you can hear it, but I don't think some of the ideas are actually there that you can like really get to. So I was like, let me put this in a PDF, but then let me put the short stories into an engine and say, make me an image for this story. Now, this story is about two black siblings fighting, and one black sibling is marrying a white guy. The first image, you'll note, has a white lady. That's a white lady in this shot. And then I did an image description and described her as light-skinned. And I was mystified and confused, but it was like, oh yeah, no, that's a black person, but that's a light-skinned black person. And it was very intense with its descriptions. And then I got in a big argument with it, and then that's how it ended up producing this more racially representative image. So the images in the PDF collection are representative of that run of ideation and thought. Oftentimes, I don't like how it narrows what it's supposed to be. I also said yes to being part of the Zero Remake Return project with, oh, what's Lisa's last name? Well, that's rude. Well, this was a very cool project. Very grateful to be invited to work on it. I've been working on a different dance and disability access project with Lisa, and Lisa said, hey, come and do this with me. Lisa, the project was come get together in the studio at Berkeley University, but the room was not COVID safe. So I was like, I will join you through the laptop. And then it was like, do all these AI experiments where somebody comes in and their AI engine, they trained an AI to make a dancer that moves like they move, and then we're supposed to look at it and move like it's moving in the room. Somebody made an AI that'll look at you dancing and describe how you're dancing. Somebody made an AI that'll look at you and tell you how to dance. And so we had all of these different experiments that were led by different folks. I decided that my experiment, since I was at a distance and I was struggling with I'm inside the computer, I'm a body inside the machine, I'm feeling distance and disconnected. Oh, also somebody also wanted to do an Octavia Butler experiment. So I made a bunch of Octavia Butler music, a bunch of Octavia Butler images inspired by Octavia Butler. So like all of that is accessible in the Zero Remake Return page. I collected all the like stuff. Well, not all the stuff, because it was a lot of stuff to make all the things. So like there's videos. The videos are like the main point. And then these iterations are just examples of some of the things I made that made the videos. Like videos, image stills. But this video is kind of an example. I hope this isn't too loud. All right, hear me talk?
We groove inside the machine. Circuits sparking in the night, touching vibes through neon light. Move, 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 everybody move. Move it. Feel the rhythm, let it soothe. Yeah, yeah. AI dancing in the stream, body rocking in the dream.
It's a terrible song. I used artificial intelligence to make this song. So I asked the dancers in the rehearsal room, please record yourself dancing. I'm just doing an 8 count. And then I took that video, I duplicated it to make us have multiple bodies just because, I don't know, multiple iterations feels like a thing that's present inside all of this work. Then I took photos of myself in stills, in body poses they had done. I fed those through an AI generator to make myself dance. So none of this is actually Claudia dancing. This is all AI imagining how Claudia could dance. And none of it is based on how disabled people dance or how actual human bodies move in the real world. But it was an interesting experiment. And I actually did get a little bit of joy out of seeing an image of my body doing stuff, but also it's not really me, like it's bad. I also took stills from everybody else's stuff and then made these sort of like AI imaginative fantasy things from their stills. So this is their choreography, their movement based on, I took 20 stills from their 8 count and then made these things based on them. All right, so that's that piece. Also, we've been working with the Ecological Justice Convening. I'm talking about AI and environmental impact. So in Knoxville, Tennessee, we had a bunch of people at the iJam Center, and they were doing hip hop exercises, lectures, and this very interesting TTRPG where they were like doing role playing to pretend that they were a town deciding what to do with their AI data center. They live streamed this entire thing. We created a digital replica of the iJam Center inside our GatherTown space that we call the Digital Encampment. So now this entire thing is asynchronously available and the conversation can continue. I'm also on a daily basis live streaming myself, usually as a cartoon moon in the sky, and I'm often talking through things around digital ecologies. I did a live stream reading of the data center next door, the hidden costs of AI and crypto. I did a live stream reading of like the MIT technological review on decolonizing AI. So this is also a piece of the practice, right? And like those pieces are, Claudia's not even using AI for that stuff. It's just Claudia's reflecting on AI. Now, I also am a painter. I actually make art, right? With my hands and my body and stuff in the real world. So like this is my latest little project. It's little flower people. I can't stop doing it. I keep making little these are all separate canvases, and each of those canvases is a face and it has flowers on it. But then there's also a larger one. This started off as this large piece.
She can transform into anything she puts her mind to.
So now all of those art pieces are AI art, AR art. So you can go and do augmented reality and make my little paintings become other things. And I've been enjoying that happening. Then also, I can't stop. I'm prolific. Sometimes I just get a notion. So like when the Nottingham fire happened in May, I got inspired, so I made this. I just took photos of the plantation, Nottingham plantation, burning
where
down.
the sugar cane stood tall.
It made me happy. It tickled me.
Flames are rising,
And I was like, hey, AI,
no
make me
mercy
history.
at all.
Because I think this is funny.
Ashes floating
It makes me happy. I want to see
midnight's
slaves
crown. The plantation
celebrating
screaming
as it all burns down. Burn it down. Also, can I just say, making all those sexy black cowboys was super fun for me. So like, some of this is me just being silly and fun on the internet. Like nobody asked me to do this. I just did it, and we had some we laughed our butts off on the internet when I made this, right? It's political, but also I'm just having fun. So, like, here are my questions I want to close this out with. Like, how does AI? Like, how does AI even, right? But also, why does AI like that? Like, why is AI? But also, should we be AI? Like, should we AI? And also, could we ever not AI? Like, could we not AI? And because like everything seems to be AI. Like the price of eggs is being controlled by some AI. My rent is high because of AI. I have trouble getting access to my healthcare because of AI. So how do we ethically, like, could we ever not AI if it's everywhere? So how do we ethically AI? And what are some of the ways that we can decolonize the AI? And could we have liberation and AI? I don't know. Anyway, that is my presentation.